Hey, you know when you've got that senior stakeholder who's very enthusiastic and has a strong view on what your service or policy or product should be? Nightmare, isn't it? As we all know, strong opinions come for free in government. You want to do a proper exploration of the problem space, but this thing is already late. Is there a quicker way than a traditional discovery and alpha to see if this is a good idea or not? Can you still gather evidence and insight fast to set you on the right track and do it in a way that the strong-minded stakeholder will agree with? I've got a way, shall I tell you? There are other ways than face-to-face interviews like a typical discovery to be user-centered. Don't get me wrong, conducting in-depth research with your audience is essential. However, it isn't the right methodology for every research question. If you have a question that relates to a specific implementation conundrum, speaking to users for 90 minutes will not tell you if the service is best delivered through an app or a website. When a research question is somewhat binary and fundamental to the strategic direction of the program, sometimes you just need a yes/no answer, and you need it yesterday to stop spending money in the wrong direction. To get to this, you need to understand what lots of people will do with the service. Yes, I mean quantitative research. Delivery in government has assumed quant means surveys or lots and lots of in-depth interviews. But does it? The lean movement has been delivering quantitative customer-centric research fast for decades now. How do we take advantage of this approach for our citizens? Lean is a series of cycles where you iterate your thinking as you go. Sound familiar? One iteration represents a refined set of conditions that will enable you to prove or disprove a hypothesis. You're putting the proposed solution front and center, fast, being bold, taking a guess rather than slowly and carefully creeping up to it as we normally do. Each iteration has a hypothesis, build, measure, and learn steps. Circle around and do it again, reducing the risk of not meeting policy intent as you go. The difficult bit is to work out what the experiment should be. How do you create enough of the thing you're testing without boiling the ocean? How do you make sure it's a speedboat you create rather than the slow-moving tanker of a program that we often see of government? We need to break apart the hypothesis and lock down the variables. This needs to be done with your policy owner or ministerial representative and get agreement. Let's take a simple hypothesis. We think that a new website will increase the performance of the service. The if only we had an app for that syndrome. So let's break it apart. What does performance mean? In discussion with the policy owner, policy metrics can be identified. Reassure them that assumptions are okay at this stage. The purpose is to get moving and learn. In our example, performance can turn out to be an outcome of confidence in the information, advice, and guidance being provided. A secondary metric or outcome of trust in the department can also be identified. So what does new website mean? Clarify with the policy owner exactly what the problem they are trying to solve is. In our example, they feel all their content is dispersed and hard to recognize as a coherent group. They feel this is contributing to the reduction in trust and confidence that was identified earlier. Within that statement, an existing website is alluded to, identifying a comparison, an A-B. Lock down the core or primary user group and describe them by attitude as well as behavior. So there we have it. We think that X users will have more confidence in our information, advice and guidance if it's on its own single website, In turn, we think that the users will have more trust in the department as a result. Next, build something. In order to understand the impact of the difference on confidence and trust, the thing you need to test needs to be as realistic as possible to compare it to the existing website. This needs to be done at as little cost as possible. Use smoke and mirrors prototyping software to create as close to the real thing as you need for the experiment. Run the experiment. You're looking for an answer, so you need a large number of participants. That's where the testing technology comes in. You need to have a short task with a set of follow-up questions online and send it to at least 100 people. More and more we are finding that there is software available to help us with this. This software can also alternate the websites to avoid bias and help analyze the results. Take your answer to your team. If the experiment is designed tightly enough, it will give you an actionable answer. If the things that you're conducting the research with match stakeholder expectations enough and they don't evidence an improvement, then you have an opening for a conversation. However, of course, they might be right. Now that's where it's really interesting. So remember, define your experiment really tightly. Build something realistic but not real. Ensure the numbers are high enough to tell you something meaningful. Use the outcome to refine the approach, accepting whatever outcome you get.